Come closer now, and let the modern world loosen its hold upon you. Let the day's sharp edges soften. The constant murmur of distant concerns fade into a hush, as though snow itself were falling upon them, layer by gentle layer. There is no urgency here, no demand upon your thoughts. Only an invitation, extended with quiet patience, to step away from the noise of what has been and what may yet come, and to enter a place of shelter, warmth, and ancient calm. Imagine the wind first. Not the timid breeze of temperate lands, but the full resonant breath of winter sweeping across a northern coast. It howls with a deep echoing voice, rushing over frozen earth and stone, carrying with it the scent of salt, ice, and distant pine forests locked in velvet frost. Snow spins and dances within that wind, striking against timber walls and shuttered openings, 1,000 soft impacts blending into a single, continuous sigh. The cold is absolute, pressing against skin and bone alike, yet it does not pursue you for long. For ahead, rising from the white and shadowed storm, stands the Longhouse, its great doors, bound with iron darkened by age, open not with a groan, but with a measured welcoming weight, as though they have performed this act for centuries and know precisely how to do so without haste. The moment you cross the threshold, the storm is left behind. The wind's voice dulls to a distant murmur, its fury softened by thick walls of timber and skill. Warmth enfolds you immediately, not sharply, but gradually, like a heavy woolen cloak laid across your shoulders. The hearth lies at the heart of the hall, broad and low, its fire alive with slow breathing movement. Flames rise and fall in unhurried rhythms, orange and gold, casting a shimmering glow that reaches every corner of the room. The hiss of resin-fed logs mingles with the gentle crackle of embers, a sound neither loud nor insistent, but constant, reassuring, eternal. Each breath you take draws in air warmed by fire and wood, and with it, the faint sweetness of pine sap and the deeper grounding scent of dry earth. The Longhouse stretches before you, its space vast yet intimate, shaped by generations who understood the value of both shelter and beauty. The walls are formed of massive timbers, their surfaces smoothed by time and hand alike, bearing the subtle marks of tools long stilled. These beams hold the scent of centuries within them, a mingling of smoke, resin, and winter air, preserved as though memory itself were woven into the grain. Above, the roof rises high, supported by thick pillars set at measured intervals. Each pillar is carved with runes, ancient symbols etched deep into the wood, their edges softened by countless passing years. They speak without sound, these markings of protection, of journeys taken and returned from, of gods honored and winters survived. Firelight moves across them in slow waves, making the runes appear to shift and shimmer, as though still alive with meaning, still echoing with the voices of those who first cut them. Along the sides of the hall stand long benches, their frames sturdy and dark, draped with thick furs gathered from distant hunts. The pelts are heavy and inviting, their textures varied beneath your fingers, the dense warmth of bear, the softer, finer hairs of wolf and fox, all layered together to form seats of quiet luxury. When you settle upon them, they yield gently, holding warmth close, insulating you from the cold earth beneath the floorboards. The floor itself is swept clean, its planks worn smooth by countless footsteps. Here and there, woven rugs lie beneath the benches and near the hearth, their patterns intricate yet subdued, dyed in deep reds, forest greens, and the muted blues of winter skies. Woolen threads cross and recross in deliberate harmony, each rug a story rendered in color and patience. Light within the Longhouse is never harsh. It flickers and flows, responding to the living fire, touching surfaces with a soft golden veil. Shadows gather in corners and along the rafters, but they do not threaten. They linger peacefully, like old companions content to remain at the edges, watching in silence. When the wind presses against the walls, the structure answers with a low, steady creak, a sound of resilience rather than strain, reminding you that this place was built to endure. The air carries more than warmth. It holds the scent of cooked grains and herbs, faint and lingering, as though meals shared long ago have left their imprint upon the space. There is also the clean, sharp note of pine resin, rising gently whenever the fire shifts and settles, mingling with smoke that curls upward toward the roof's opening, escaping slowly into the storm beyond. Time behaves differently here. It stretches and settles, unmeasured by clocks or demands. The Longhouse exists in a state that is neither fully past nor present, but something timeless, suspended between memory and now. Each breath you take feels deeper, slower, guided unconsciously by the steady rhythm of the fire. Inhale, and warmth fills you. Exhale, and any remaining tension drifts away, dissolving into the glow. As you gaze into the hearth, the flames invite your attention without insisting upon it. They rise in slender tongues, then collapse inward, folding upon themselves in patterns that never repeat. Sparks lift briefly into the air, glowing bright against the darker rafters before fading, each one a fleeting point of light, delicate and precise. And as your eyes follow those sparks, something begins to change. The Longhouse reveals itself slowly, as though it prefers to be discovered rather than observed. Nothing here demands attention. Everything waits with ancient patience. The fire's glow does not simply illuminate the room, but breathes life into it, sending long, wavering shadows upward toward the ceiling, where they gather and drift like dark clouds moving across a twilight sky. The beams above are immense, arched and ribbed like the hull of a great ship turned upside down, their surfaces blackened by centuries of smoke. Each shadow glides along these beams at an almost imperceptible pace, stretching, thinning, and dissolving, only to be born anew with the next flicker of the flame. These shadows are never still, yet never hurried. They move in a slow, echoing dance, reminding the eye to soften its focus, to follow without effort. In their gentle motion, they seem to hold memories, the silhouettes of long-gone figures seated by earlier fires, the quiet gestures of hands passing bowls, the bowed heads of listeners leaning close to hear a story told in low voices against the storm. The ceiling itself feels impossibly high, as though the darkness above could open further if asked, revealing layers of night beyond night. Along the walls, between the great wooden pillars, hang objects that speak softly of lives once lived in rhythm with the land and sea. Shields rest there, round and broad, their painted surfaces worn and muted. Reds have softened into rust, blues into the deep shade of evening skies, their patterns still discernible beneath the passage of time. Some bear faint scars, shallow grooves where blades once glanced, edges smoothed by careful hands long after battle had passed. Between the shields, tapestries hang in heavy folds. They are woven from thick wool, their scenes telling of great voyages and the turning of seasons. The firelight catches the glint of a silver thread here, a deep gold there, bringing a momentary life to the figures trapped in the weave. They do not move, yet in the shifting light, they seem to lean toward the fire as if seeking the same warmth that now surrounds you. The pillars themselves invite closer attention. Their runes are carved deep and deliberate, each line cut with reverence. Fingers tracing them would find the grooves smooth, worn by centuries of touch. These symbols are not merely decorative. They are prayers held in timber, invocations of protection and continuity. Firelight settles into the carved lines, pooling there like liquid gold, making the runes glow as though they still hum with ancient power. Even without understanding their language, you sense their intent, steady and reassuring. The benches lining the hall seem to cradle the space between them, forming a wide, open heart around the fire. Upon them, lie not only furs but cushions stuffed with wool and feathers, covered in hand-woven fabric. The wool smells faintly of lanolin and smoke, a scent that speaks of sheep sheltered through storms and of patient hands spinning thread beside other hearths long ago. When you rest against them, they offer gentle resistance, supporting without pressure, encouraging stillness. At the far end of the longhouse stands a high-backed chair, larger and more intricately carved than the others. Its arms curl outward like the prows of ships, and its back rises into a lattice of interwoven patterns, knots without beginning or end. This is a seat of listening as much as of authority, worn smooth at the edges, its presence dignified yet unassuming. It faces the hearth, as though acknowledging that fire, not power, is the true center of this place. Nearby, a long table stretches beneath the wall, its surface bearing the subtle marks of use. Shallow cuts from knives, darker rings where cups once stood, the faint outline of hands pressed flat during conversation. Upon it rest objects of quiet significance. Drinking horns lie carefully arranged, their polished curves catching light softly. Their rims are engraved with fine patterns, so delicate they seem to ripple when shadows pass over them. There are bowls carved from pale wood, their interiors darkened by countless meals, and small knives with bone handles, each unique in shape and balance. In one corner, half lost to shadow, stands a loom. Its frame is tall and sturdy, the threads upon it pale and unmoving, like lines of frost caught in midair. Though unused at present, it radiates a sense of waiting, as though it expects hands to return at any moment, to continue a pattern begun long ago. The loom hums faintly in the imagination, echoing with the quiet labor that once filled long winter evenings, when stories and work flowed together without distinction. The soundscape of the longhouse is subtle and layered. Beneath the crackle and hiss of the fire lies a deeper silence, not empty, but full. You hear the low settling of timbers as they respond to heat, the almost inaudible whisper of air moving through hidden gaps, the distant, muffled voice of the storm pressing respectfully against the walls. These sounds blend into a single, continuous presence, a gentle reminder that the world endures beyond thought. As your awareness drifts across the room, you begin to sense that the longhouse is not merely a structure, but a vessel of time. Every object, every shadow, every breath of warm air carries traces of those who came before. Laughter has lingered here, softened into memory. Grief, too, has been absorbed and quieted by fire and wood, transformed into something calmer, something bearable. The shadows on the ceiling continue their slow passage, deepening and thinning, weaving together like dark silk. They seem almost to breathe in time with you now, rising as you inhale, settling as you exhale. The room feels held, balanced between light and dark, between the known and the unknown. There is nothing to resolve, nothing to understand. There is only presence. And in that presence, wrapped in warmth and history, you find yourself perfectly at ease, ready without effort to drift further as the longhouse prepares to open the door from memory into myth.